Hi there, I'm Rowan Brandy, I'm a UX consultant.
And my name is Rue Butler, I'm also a UX consultant.
So we're going to be producing a series of videos regarding lean research principles, and we're going to be sharing our sort of experience and sort of top tips on how to sort of apply those methodologies.
Yeah, and today the subject is pattern libraries. So we're going to be talking about those, the benefits, the blockers, and maybe some hints and tips on how to get around those and make it happen. Generally speaking, I think most people that use pattern libraries are going to be the larger organisations that might have an online portfolio of websites, or they might be an agency themselves, or you might be a contractor where you're going in and you're trying to put best practices in place to have that stock, that asset available to use. So if you're one of those people and you're trying to get a pattern library set up or try to push it forward in any way, then this video is probably for you.
Yeah, so the first one is cost and time, isn't it, Rose?
Yeah, as a major blocker, that is one of them. That is the big one, and I think it doesn't matter what sort of business you're in, that's always going to be something that's almost stops you dead in terms of actually even starting to think about it. Most people will say it's going to be far too much time and far too much cost involved.
Yeah, too many hours for people to sort of put in to get that.
And that's real. That is a very real thing, and that's hopefully we've got some tips around to go around that.
So one of the other things on that is, in terms of one of the challenges, is getting that buy-in from an organisation and the key stakeholders, really, because obviously, like Ruth said, it takes a lot of time and effort for people to sort of set one of these things up. Very much a sort of waterfall approach to get something up and running. But what we want to sort of talk about is a bit of that leaner approach to sort of get that incremental
get the ball rolling.
Inertia.
Yeah. So a lot of people feel that because of the resource and time available, that needs to, or lack of it, and try to get that approved, they need to do almost like a big bang sort of approach. Therefore, you need to go to your boss. Or you need to go to all those around you to actually say, I need approval for this. And then as soon as you do that, that's again, it hits the ceiling and you can't actually start to get headway. So those are the two big blockers: time, resource, and approval. And we've managed to get it in place without those, and that's what we're going to talk about.
And it's mainly to sort of do with factoring that into your workflow. So say, for example, you're working on a project, there might be, as part of that project, you might look at some of the key page patterns or components that you're using, and you might think, actually, we're working on that, or we're using those on this project, and then maybe we've got another project that's coming up that we might be able to use some of those to almost fast track that next project, for example. So it's really sort of identifying those key building blocks, as if it were, and then seeing if you can sort of genericize those and then leverage those moving forward, really. But putting it as part of your incremental sort of workflow and your mindset, and that sort of how would you go about it?
Yes, taking small incremental steps.
Yeah.
Breaking it down so it's not one big library that you're having to create, and actually sort of taking your full sort of small space. But also that becomes a mindset thing. I think it's a working practice. So, like you're saying, it's very much, I'm going to start something, and rather than just doing it because of that one project, that's when you can start to step away almost from the details of the project and think more holistically and say, if this was to be applied on different pages or for a different site or for a different client, then would it still work? And therefore you have that template, that library of assets that you can apply to different types of jobs, different types of projects, different types of page type, or even sometimes functionality. So that is a mindset, it's a working thing that you need to put in place and start to think a little bit differently. So as soon as you get into the granular details, you need to be lifting yourself out as much as possible. Yeah.
The other point is collaboration is a big thing. So we've mentioned about getting sort of trying to get buy-in from sort of stakeholders. However, one of the things that we found has helped us is if you get buy-in from a small group of sort of advocates within your sort of team, and maybe other disciplines as well. So it could be a designer or some people in the design team, feds, for example, and obviously user research. And if you get their buy-in, they can all sort of incrementally feed into that sort of pattern library as well, and then it gets that inertia sort of going.
Yeah. And I think with that collaboration, sometimes you might be able to establish what are the key things to start with. So actually having a common kind of work plan in terms of, right, well, we're going to start this one element, let's say it's a share widget or a start page for a form. And that is always being used across lots of different journeys that are business critical. So when you're doing that collaboration, you might want to talk to the other people and say, well, what you commonly have to read all the time that actually would be good to have one source of truth for. So at that point, you can start to have that bit of a plan around what it is you're going to start with, and just start with one thing, get that done, put it in the bank of the library, if you like, and then you've got that sorted. And then maybe the next project, maybe the next thing you work on is another genericized element. And basically with that collaboration, people can start to see that things are happening, they are moving forward, and it's sort of small incremental steps. But the collaboration around that, keeping it living and breathing, is quite important.
It's a really key thing.
Because if someone is an ambassador and no one else does it, then you're kind of doing it for yourself. And actually it won't get used by others. If it won't get used by others, there's no point doing it. So yeah, having that tight team of ambassadors around the library is really helpful, particularly if one person leaves and then the other one can then carry it on. So that that IP doesn't walk with that one person.
Yeah. And the other thing is there's to help that, there's loads of collaboration tools that can be at low cost or free even to get the ball rolling. So there's things like Trello is a great tool for sort of creating your backlog of some of your patterns, as well as maybe some of the patterns that, like Ru said, you're working on and you've developed, and then you can almost use it as the glue to sort of link out to other tools such as Evernote or something like a wiki you could spin up, or potentially things like Dropbox Paper, where you might have certain pages that have more detail on the actual pattern or component that you're actually talking about. So you might have research that feeds in there, or if someone's browsing the web and they find some sort of other insight material, they can clip that and then chuck that into that sort of page. And then basically the other advantage of those sorts of tools is if you've got a sort of disparate team that might be across the country or in different countries, different offices, they've got one sort of central source of the truth that they can all sort of have a look at. So that breeds consistency in terms of that sort of pattern.
So that cloud-based asset, so that people can feed in, you can invite them and control who can see it, who can edit, that type of thing.
Commenting.
But it's instant. There is no kind of lag, with email and then trying to version control, all of those things, that becomes a thing of the past. And those silly little things can just add enough friction for people to go, where was it? Oh, well, I'll just do it my own way because I know what I'm doing. Whereas, having that library instantly available online in a cloud and be able to then include other people instantly as when you're talking about it. I'll do that after the meeting. It makes it a lot more slick, a lot more kind of fluid, and that really helps to keep things
and the communication going. Exactly that.
And all free.
All free. And things like Slack as well, that's another great tool. You can set up a Slack channel if you wanted to, for example.
So there's no excuses.
No excuses.
Not communicating with people, collaborating with people. Just pick your channel, but they're mostly they're free. If it's a bit of a kind of scary thing, blank piece of paper, where do you start? You can have the collaboration. Maybe you've got your kind of enthusiasm, motivation to get on and do something. You don't necessarily have to do it all by yourself and start from scratch. There are decent pattern libraries out there already. The point about having your own is that you can actually make it more applicable to you and your business, and importantly feed into that through your own research and your own insight, and then keeping it living and breathing, which is an important thing to remember. But to start it, there are things like the GDS standards, there's Google, there's BBC. So most industries will have, or a leader in industry that has the budget, they might want to share and allow other people to learn from them. And have it is online, and you can take a pick. So we've kind of relied on GDS.
The GDS one, the design sort of system that they've got, is fantastic. So layering up our sort of commercial knowledge on top of the sort of very governmental services is something that we're looking at. But those guys have done some really good stuff.
So it's a good way to start.
It's a brilliant place
you
to
can
start.
take a look. You can say, I agree with that. That's what I found. That's what my interpretation is like. So it's going to be an ongoing thing. It's not like a traditional library, obviously, where you just put it there and think it's going to be set in stone forever. Yeah. So that kind of continual development and that collaboration around that development and why you want to change things, then that takes a bit of effort, but that's where most people then start to build up trust that actually this is a place to go because it is quick.
See, that's one of the things as well is the trust element, like Ruth said there, is that we've had things with conversations with clients because you've already sort of gone through that process, the research, the components and the patterns have already been validated with users. You've got a solid foundation to work across, work from, and then it's that element of trust in terms of sort of what you're actually offering is sort of valid and relevant and has been tested.
Awesome bit about that, and we're testament to this because we've got to the stage where we've pushed that fat elephant up the hill, and we've got to a point where we've had that effort and that all of the kind of pain that goes with that to try and get something, and now we're able to then benefit and see the benefit of both collaboratively and individually when we're tasked with something to get it out the door quickly.
It's fast tracking.
There's a lot of stuff that we can use and actually trust it because we're constantly feeding into this library and actually use it to actually produce things quite quickly, but also know that they're really current, they're really up to date, and they actually work. And to have the benefit and almost a joy to actually pull something together quickly and actually go, yes, all of our effort is actually paying off.
Exactly.
It's really, really good, and it does get quite exciting at that point. So don't give up. Don't give up. Just carry on. Just carry on doing it. It is worth it. If you take the small steps, you'll start to see and have those benefits more often because you'll have common components that you can actually start to pull in and rely on, and you give yourself a high five every time you do it. Absolutely. So it's obviously we're advocates of it, and we do love good UI and good experience. So obviously we're going to sort of be a champion of sort of well thought through kind of component parts that can be built and be trusted on. So that's pretty much our handy hits of how to do and maintain a library, and there'll be more talks to come in the future.
More topics.
And so that's it all for today. But if you do have any questions or comments, then feel free to put it in underneath, and either Rowan or I will try and get back to you, and we'll be glad to hear it from you on any comments on the video or any questions about pattern libraries. So that's it for today.
Brilliant.
So it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me. I've heard that before.
You have. We've nicked it. Bye-bye.